Welcome, everyone. It is Friday again. Welcome to Friday's Inspiration, where we come every week to help you elevate your frequencies so you can live the best expression of yourself. Today, we're talking about something that has been on my mind a lot lately, and so I wanted to share that with you. And I so appreciate all of you that show up here every week, and especially when you can share that with your friends and family. Those of you who listen to this as a recording, which is the most majority of you, will realize this is a non-monetized platform, so there's no commercials. So the best way for people to be informed about what we're doing here is to share it. Share it with your friends and family and people who you care about. So today we are talking about, and before I haven't talked about this in a while. For those of you who don't know who I am, I've been in the healing arts for more than 40 years, and I have spent a lot of time working with plant medicines as part of my ascension, my growth, and also working with the Hawkins Scale, which is a scale of human consciousness. And it was this plant medicine that helped me to break through that scale to develop a whole new level of ascension and growth. And so I wrote about this ascension scale and this new level of expansion that we've reached in my book, Access Your Ultimate Power, The Blueprint to Infinite Intelligence. So in that book, I explain all about what we do here every week, which is measuring and calibrating all kinds of things, and also helping you to release a lot of these things that are in the way of our expansion and growth through a process called running your energy. And so during this process, I'm in the background looking and checking to make sure that everything's moving and clearing. But you're doing the heavy lifting, so to speak. It wouldn't do much good if you were to just come here every week to get your energy cleared and not know how to do it yourself. So I'm here to help you learn how to master your energy. And that way you'll feel empowered with or without me. So that's really the ideal. And so that sort of leads into part of what we're talking about today. Because there's so many people that are hungry for the truth. They're hungry for their expression of their greatest selves. How do you get there? And so a lot of people are looking for outside resources and mentors and information and scouring the internet for videos that look appealing and sound good. And so the harder thing is that there's also this other influence that has been permeating this planet for eons. This Earth has been set up as a slave planet, and so the energies that have been controlling mankind, there have been a lot of forces that are helping to eradicate these darker influences on the planet. And part of the way that they're doing that is diminishing their food sources. So much of the child trafficking, that was a big food source for these darker forces. And so as they get hungry for new food sources, and so their food sources are energies that are of a darker nature: fear, anger, sadness, despair. And so that's what they're an expert at on the media, is stirring up a lot of these feelings and emotions, and at the same time they're feeding themselves. So that's one part of this thing that we're talking about here today. And so as they're doing this, a lot of people are attracted to the biggest and greatest tragedy, or the biggest secret, or the worst this and this disaster, and a lot of that kind of stuff. But then a lot of you are avoiding all that stuff and trying to focus on things that are uplifting and encouraging, um, things that are meant to raise your elevation. The bad news about all of this is that these darker forces are getting more and more tricky with how they are influencing humanity. And I saw this to a very big degree. It became very aware to me when I was on a recent mission with my mentor and a group of people when we were at the Vatican in Rome. And so we were on a mission to do a lot of energetic work there, and was very fascinated by the structures that they have in place and the degrees that they have infiltrated humanity and all the things in place. I'll just simplify it. The things in place that are meant to infiltrate us with spells and curses and all kinds of thinking that's not ours, that is disparaging. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, because there is a vast influence of these dark energies with people. And I'm not going to call people out and mention groups or organizations. I'm going to stay away from that because I've been accused of being disparaging. And so that's not the point of any of this. The point is that a lot of people are being deceived unknowingly. And so what ends up happening is in the background, when these groups are saying all the right words and talking about enlightenment and expansion and raising our frequencies and all of these things, that there's also these spells and curses that they're putting on people in the background, so that I've listened to some just out of curiosity. Like, I would measure it ahead of time and notice it had a dark vibration or a low vibration. I was wondering, well, why? I had known these people to be very high vibrational with a very good message, and now it's like, well, why is this such a low vibration? And so I started to listen to a few of the videos that were on this platform. And one, I started getting a headache. And two, I started feeling very depressed. I started feeling discouraged because they were giving a lot of information about these dark forces, kind of like what I'm doing right now. But I have some good solutions for you. So these people get informed about all the horrible things that are on the planet, but no real solutions. And so that can be really discouraging. And when I left that platform, because I was feeling so off, I started to check a few things. And I noticed there were a lot of spells, like around 50 spells and some curses that had also been put on me just by listening to what I thought was these light informing messages. And so this is the big dilemma with people right now, is they're searching for the truth, but they're easily getting hung up and stuck on these places that have a different agenda. This happened to even a client of mine who thought she would check in with another medium. Not that I'm a medium, but I think this person was a medium, or was going to tell her something about her future or her life or something. It was basically a reader. And so she talked to this woman, I think, for maybe an hour. But she left there almost in tears. The woman was encouraging her, telling her that she was such a bright light, and that she is very sensitive. And because of that, she should isolate herself, and she should not interact with people, and she should not connect with, so it was all this very diminishing kind of energy. And so as this woman was talking, she was basically putting all these spells and curses on her. And the interesting thing about all of this is that oftentimes many of these people that are working for the dark side, I've experienced this recently, that didn't even know they were working for the dark side. They thought they were working for the light and a light agenda and ascension, etc. And so they didn't even know. And so that's the other scary part about all this. So with my client, I was help her to, bring her back home and clear the spells and curses and get her back on track. And so that was the good news. So there's a few things that can help with all of this. So number one, when we're looking for inspiration, we're looking for maybe a mentor. The most ideal thing is to be able to measure their frequencies. So there's a few things that I'll check right off the bat to decide one, if I'm going to listen to a person's message or read their book or listen to anything they have to say. And so, one is I'm going to measure how many creative rings they have above their head. So, three used to be the minimum. Now, we can get before we break through to infinity. So, someone who has 100 rings or an infinite number of rings, those are master creators. And they, you're not given that many rings unless you know how to master your energy and you're in a higher frequency. The first time I saw less than 3 rings was when I was in the Middle East after visiting Egypt, and I was at an airport, and I noticed these monks. And they all had these white robes on that was like halfway slashed. They had one arm exposed, and in sandals, and it was actually pretty cold out, but they were just in these, like two little sheets wrapped around them. And I noticed on the big TV screen where they were all headed. So they were headed to, and so this was a live video of Mecca, where all of these priests in these white robes are going around this black cube. Well, that black cube is basically Cabal energy. And so the other fascinating thing I noticed about all of these monks, it was the first time I'd ever seen people with only 2 rings. So that meant that their crown is being compressed by another energy that is more powerful than they are, or has at least taken over their power, taken over their sovereignty. And so this is why, and so ever since then, I've been noticing more and more people, and especially people that claim to be of the light or of these higher frequencies that only have 2 rings. And so I am definitely not going to listen to any of those people that are like that. And no matter what the words are that are coming out. So that's the first thing I'll check is how many rings they have above their head. The second thing I'm going to check is how open their heart chakra is. Because the thing that I've noticed that these people that only have 2 of these creative rings often have a very closed heart, sometimes completely closed to 0, maybe open to 15%. That would also be somebody I'm not going to listen to because they may be saying the right words, all about love and light and all of those good things, but internally their energy is not a reflection of that. So that's the second thing I like to check. Um, there is, let's see, those are the two main things that I check. Like if that's good, then I might check a few other things. But that is really important. And so that's part of what I'm hoping that you guys are learning here is how to master your energy enough so that you can learn how to get your own internal yes or no. And once you know how to do that, then you can start measuring other things. You can start measuring how many rings does this person have above their head? How open is their heart chakra? You can measure these things. So this is all really important because everything that you ingest mentally, emotionally, spiritually, this is who you become. We become what we ingest, whether it's through our auditory or whether it's foods we eat. We are what we eat, basically. So, super important to be able to assess these things. And if there's anything that you want me to assess, I'd prefer that you send me a private message, and I'm happy to do that. Maybe you're working with a mentor, or you're reading information, or you're listen following somebody. And the point is that I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but I think that if you are on this path of ascension, that you would want to know if the person that you're following is only thinking that they're in the light. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. But today, uh, yeah, we have people behind the wall chatting. Yes, we do. They were. Um, yes. Okay. Thanks, June. So yes, there's people here that are they're quiet now. So great. We have a nice international audience as usual. We have London. We're here in London. We have Canada. We have Sweden. We have New York, and no doubt throughout the U.S. Thank you all for joining here today. So today, what we're gonna do, and because this infinity system is as we all should be, is we are, and welcome Seattle. We are going to be doing something new with our energy frequency, and it feels more elevated. It feels more empowered, and in some ways, I think it's going to make it a lot easier for some of you who kind of get stuck on, well, I don't know what this energy is, and I don't know where it is, and I don't know, we get stuck too much on the details in our head. And so I think that what we're going to be doing here today is going to simplify that so that it will be easier to clear these energies, and it's also going to feel more empowering. So we also have Texas in the house. Great, Gwendolyn. Good to have you here. All right. So any questions about these dark energies that we're talking about today? One of the things that is part of this guidance of this new way that we're going to be clearing energies is that we're going to be less calling out the individual specific energies. Like, is it a Draco? Is it control being? Is it a fear entity? So we're not going to give that any more power. We're just going to refer to it as interference. And but still, I'll let you know where the interference is, and then you're going to clear it by amplifying your energy, amplifying your power, and it's like turning up the volume on your personal power. And so it's actually kind of exciting to try something new and different. I've been doing this with the our 18-day MediClearing group, and they're really enjoying it, finding it more empowering and new. And so it's kind of a fun way to try new things, right? Especially when it comes from inspired messages and the ways that I'm being guided. So, okay, yes. So we're going to go ahead and start doing the process of running our energy so that we can make sure that our energy field is clear. And the more that you're doing this process, the more that you're tapping into your ability to determine what's true or not true. Can you feel that feeling? Can you not? And the main thing is that you want to tap into your yes or no. That's the biggest part. So let's go ahead and start making sure that we're ultra grounded. So right now, ask yourselves if you're grounded, because I'm finding that a lot of you are not grounded right now. And so if you're either way, let's get grounded. But the way that we're going to do this is you're going to just amplify your frequency right at your root chakra. And by raising that frequency, raising the energy, you're going to create a different frequency where this interference can't interfere anymore. So go ahead and start amplifying that energy in your root chakra, turning up the volume as we send that grounding cord. There it goes, all the way down to the center of the planet. Great job. And simple, right? So this is a lot more simple than a lot of people might think. So now we have our grounding cord. So now we're going to imagine those roots going deep down into the earth, wrapping around the entire planet. We're going to start bringing up that energy of abundance, the energy of the feminine, up through the legs, and up through the upper leg, down the grounding cord. There we go. And let's also see if there's a worry circle. Yes, it's out to the third layer. So there's more of that interference that you've found in the past. So again, I want you to amplify your energy, your frequency in the root chakra. Just turn up the volume. And as we're doing this, I think it will be more refreshing to know that this doesn't have to be so complicated. It can be much easier. And that's not to say that what we were doing in the past is wrong. It's just that now we're advanced to a place where we're just making it more simple. Okay, great. So no worry circle. Excellent. So let's see if the heart is 100% open, but let's see if the heart is grounded. So I want you to feel into this difference. So right now, the heart is not grounded. So feel into what that feels like. So it's not grounded, even though it's open. And so now I want you to amplify the energy at your heart, making it brighter, warmer, more intense, sending that love, amplifying, turning up the volume on the love frequency in your heart chakra. And so as we're doing this, we're like sending a message out. Our frequency is emitting a message that's basically saying, my energy is far more powerful than these outside influences. And this is amplifying our energy. Okay, great. So just by doing that, your heart is now grounded. Now notice if you can feel a difference. Does your heart feel warmer? Does it feel more expansive, less judgmental? You decide. And any comments are always helpful. All right, so now the heart is grounded. So next we're going to ground our ovaries, which collect a lot of energy. So right now the ovaries are not grounded. So you can imagine a line of energy that goes down and merges with your grounding cord. And we'll just start releasing that energy down that grounding. Excellent. And then the men can do the same thing with the prostate and testicles. So you're drawing a Y, 2 lines of energy that merge with your grounding cord. So that can also be in the highest frequencies. Excellent. Okay, good. So next, we're going to start bringing pure source down through our creative rings. And right above our rings, there's more of that interference. So I want you to imagine your creative rings. These are like golden rings that are stacked above your head. And you don't have to know how many you have for this to work. Just imagine that wherever you see the top, that you start making that ring as bright and as gold and like turning up the frequency, turning up the vibration and the volume on that ring so that you're basically telling that interference above it that it's not welcome. And there's no resonance for you here. Excellent. That was easy. Okay, good. So now each of those rings all the way down, it's almost like going ding, 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 all the way down, where each one is getting lit up and bright and each one is connected to the next. Like a waterfall, it's just descending down with this golden energy. Excellent. Great. So now pure source is coming into the crown where that energy is stopping. More interference out to that third layer. So again, we're going to amplify this. It's kind of like a halo, our permission circle that radiates around our crown chakra. And we're going to start turning up the volume on this frequency, illuminating this golden halo around our head so that we can send that message that we are sovereign over ourselves. We are the boss of us, and there isn't anything that can interfere with our sovereignty. That's basically what this higher frequency is saying. So as we're turning up the volume, that's the message we're sending out. Okay, great. Yes, great. So now pure source is coming down through the central core into that sixth chakra, into the throat, and where it's stopping. So it's stopping right at the throat chakra. So this throat has more to do uh, with our communication than just being able to have a clear voice, a clear message, clear communication. It also relates to being able to hear the messages from our spirit guides, clear messages, accurate messages. And so, if you ever have a doubt, because this interference that we're about to clear right now has been making it hard for you to really trust what you're hearing, trust what you're feeling or knowing. And so, one of the greatest questions that you can ask whenever you're asking a question to your guides or the universe, and you're looking for answers, when you give an answer, is to ask, is this pure source energy? If you get anything less than an immediate yes, then you need to ignore the message and move on. So trust those first messages there, and think, and you start to play. Well, yeah, I don't know, but they sound good, and you know, trust that that is a correct message. So anything that's from pure source is going to make you feel inspired. It's going to make you feel good. It's not going to make you feel worried or anxious or afraid. So those are also some good clues about whether or not you're tapping into truth and pure source, or are you tapping into a darker energy that's hiding behind this light message that's coming forward. All right, so as we are coming down into the throat, okay, out to that third layer, so we're going to amplify the frequency at our throat, and we're basically just turning up the volume on truth and hearing a high frequency message. So you're amplifying your personal power here. And you're sending that message out that anything that is not truth is not is not welcome. So just turn up the volume on your power, your frequency. Excellent. Okay, great. There we go. You just cleared that. So now we're coming down through the throat into the heart where the energy is stopping again. So this is a place where these outer influences definitely want to interfere with because they know how powerful the heart is. The heart is our seat of our infinite intelligence, our ability to self-generate love, and where all our answers reside. So let's clear that influence, that interference, by amplifying the energy in our heart chakra, telling these outside influences they're just not welcome. So go ahead and turn up the volume there. Excellent. Okay, good. There, so now the energy is coming down through the heart, solar plexus, where it's stopping again. So even though there's a lot of this outer influence, you are using your personal power to change these frequencies just through your focused intention. So at the solar plexus, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to tap into your personal power here. We're going to start amplifying that willpower, that ultimate power, your magnet, so that you don't have to go out and fight for anything. You can pull things to you effortlessly that you need to inspire you to get things done. Okay, great. So we're coming down through that solar plexus, second chakra, spilling down the root. Great. So now let's come up the front through the second, third, so right at that solar plexus again, all the way up to the 100th layer. So those of you who have been following me might know what that interference is, but let's just amplify our energy in this whole 100th layer of our aura. Like we're just going to turn up the volume so that there's no room, there's no way for them to feel welcome in this layer because our frequency is so high. Okay, great. Great, great. So now the whole aura is nice and clear. Last but not least, let's raise the frequency in our hearts. And we are going to amplify that energy as we bring it out that right arm. So the circle of reciprocity, which is giving and receiving, not giving and taking. So we're giving and receiving as we put our fingers together, allowing that frequency to come up to the left hand, left arm. There we go. Through the front and back of the heart, throat, 6 crown rings. Okay, great. That really feels good. So I want to measure a few more things that relate to this topic that we're talking about. But before I do that, I want to share something that I wanted to share with you today, which was or is that this weekend is a perfect opportunity for you to create your vision board, your dream board. It's something that I used to do on a monthly basis. I was a little bit of an addict to it. It was just so much fun and such a creative expression. Eventually, I just started doing it every month. And then I started doing workshops like every quarter. And it's just a really fun thing to do. So I've learned over the years some of the best secrets on how to create really, really powerful vision boards. And it's a fun process. It's a tool to help you keep focused on what it is you want to create and desire. And so in this, it comes with this a workbook that I created, and also an hour-long workshop that I did that helps you eliminate the 5 most common mistakes that people make when creating their vision board. So I'll share one of those mistakes, which is a lot of people create a vision board hoping that it's going to raise their vibration and make them feel better because they're either feeling down or they don't have any money or they don't have a relationship and they're thinking about all this lack and how their life is a mess. And they're hoping to do this vision board that will make their life all better. So that's the frequency that they're creating their boards in, right? So you're going to manifest your board in the frequency you created it. So in this workshop, it also comes with a meditation that's designed to help you reach those higher frequencies so that you get there before you create your vision board. So that's just one of the 5 tips that I share in this workshop. It's a really fun workshop, really informative. It's got so many layers to it that make it super, super powerful. And so the reason I'm suggesting to do it this weekend is on Monday is a spring equinox. That's a great time period to create, because we're shifting into a whole new season. Great time to create a vision board. Also on Tuesday is the new moon. Another perfect time to plant your seeds of intention at the empty moon. So you plant your seeds of intention on the new moon. And so there's basically a 3-day window after that energies are still working in your favor. So if you can get most of it done this weekend and maybe finish it by Tuesday would be ideal. And so I've had this Dream Architect Toolkit and that I created years ago, and it's still super relevant and super fun. And so I'm offering it today with a very steep discount, and it's a great little thing. If it's been a while since you've done a vision board, and if you're thinking, I don't have magazines, I don't have a board and all that stuff. Well, this is the first year that I'm going to try doing it on Canva to do it digitally. So we're stepping into a new age, and I still believe that doing it by hand is a superior way. It's kind of like writing a book, connects muscles in your hand with your brain in a different way that activates things. The same process with cutting out pictures out of a magazine. I think that's a whole nother layer and level of amplifying it. But if your excuse is, I don't have magazines, I don't have a board, do it on Canva. So that's a great way of stepping into a more, I don't know if you want to call it a more advanced way of creating your board, but I'm sure it'll be just as fun because there's so many pictures available on the internet. So that's a great thing. So yeah, try creating a visual, and if you haven't done it, try it. It's so much fun. It's so fun, and it's a great creative expression. As a matter of fact, women, if we are not creating a baby, if we're not pregnant creating a baby, we still have all of that creative energy floating around in our energy field. And if we're not using that energy to create something else, it kind of makes us a little crazy, a little cranky, a little bitchy. And so these boards are a great way to channel that creative expression. So give it a try. It's a lot of fun. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you. Let's see what we wanted. So there's a few things I wanted to check in on what we're talking about today, which is the what is it? The greatest challenge, facing humanity right now. So so let's measure a few things. Let's measure if I'm just logging in. Okay, gee. Well, you might need to start from the beginning because we just finished our clearing. And let's see what Debbie says. I love the idea of a virtual vision board because then I don't have to cut out magazines and store the board physically. I'm going to work on mine this weekend. Great. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, Debbie's in our 18-day program. So, yeah, it'll be the first time I'm doing a digital board as well. So it should be pretty cool. So let's measure a few things about our abilities to learn how to measure what's true and what's false. This is the greatest challenge facing humanity right now. And so humanity is getting really distracted and sidetracked and overtaken by a lot of dark influences that are portraying to be the light. And so let's measure a few things. We're going to measure first of all, our fear and anger. Those are always on the board as being important energies to keep at bay if we can. That's not to say they don't, especially anger, that anger doesn't have a valuable purpose, but not as our default energy to get things done. So fear is at 15 and anger about 50%. So we definitely want to clear the anger. So at 15% fear, you probably wouldn't even notice it, but that's where it starts, just a little bit. Let's find where that is in that root chakra, out to that third layer. So that's that fear of stepping into your power. So again, we're going to use this energy that we've been using throughout today's energy clearing. And we're just going to turn up the volume on our personal power. So just imagine, however you want to do that, it's a more focused intention that raises the frequency in our root chakra so that interference can't stick anymore. So let's just turn up the volume, and we're just eliminating that fear because our frequency, that fear is not our energy. That's an outside influence. So we're going to amplify our personal power so that this fear doesn't have a place to live. Okay, perfect. You just cleared the fear in your root chakra. So we're going to do the same thing with anger. So at 50% anger, and so whenever you feel this, you're going to see how easy it is to clear this. Whenever you feel 50% anger is going to feel, you're not going to feel angry, but you will feel annoyed. You will feel a little, kind of critical of yourself, maybe others, a little frustrated. And so when you're feeling like that, a little on edge, those energies are going to want to kick you out of your body. And when that happens, then you're not at home to really tap into your inner knowing. That's a big part of being able to determine truth from the lie, is being fully present so that you can feel, is this true or is this not true? And you can trust the messages you're getting because you ask that question, is this from pure source? Okay, so let's clear the anger in the root chakra. It's out in that third layer. So we're going to interfere with the interference by raising our frequency in the root chakra. So however you want to do that, whatever that means for you to turn up the volume right at your root chakra, at the base of your spine. Great. Anger is at 0. So just like that, you're able to transmute that energy. Notice how your body feels just by turning up your personal power. So this is a really, it's a new thing that we are just trying today, and it's exciting because it's helping us to realize we're far more powerful than we would ever imagine or know. So that's really important. Let's see. June says, my heart kicked out what wasn't needed in my throat. I saw the boot. Oh, I love that. You booted it right out of there. That's excellent. That's good. And yes, Debbie also. Okay, great. Debbie's on 2 different things here on YouTube. So great. And then let's also check for some other interference, which could be people courting to you. So that's another thing. Remember before I was talking about the 2 things that I always check with any information that I'm going to listen to is their number of rings and how open their heart is. The other thing that I want to check is, or you can check, which is valuable information, is if that person, maybe it's a mentor, if they're courting to you. If they're courting to your crown, then they're trying to own you. If they're courting to their solar plexus, they're trying to get you to do something. If they're courting to your heart chakra, they're trying to make you feel bad about something, to do something that they want you to do. So any courting by a mentor, not a good sign. But let's see if there's any other, if you guys have any cords. There is about 5. So some are in the 6th chakra. So these are people plugged in here that want to know what's on your mind. Maybe they're trying to get you to see things their way. So turn up your frequency there. You could use a flame if you wanted to, but we're trying something new. And it's having great results. So just turn up the volume in your 6th chakra, your light, your higher frequency. That's basically telling this person that they're not welcome here, and that this is your space. You're in charge of what you think about. Okay. Okay, so that cleared the 6th chakra. So also go down to the root chakra and do the same thing. Turn up the volume at your root so that these people that are courting here, maybe relying on you like you're the Rock of Gibraltar, but when they have a bad day, you're going to have their bad day and think it's yours. So turn up the volume there so that all those chords just fall away. Just turning up that light and your frequency. You could even send them love. What a concept, right? Okay, great. So now there's no more cords in your energy field. So this is really helpful. I hope you found it helpful. For those of you who are curious about what's going on in your energy field, the best place to start out, and then you can compare like what I can find with what you're finding. And so the best place to do that is with a vibrational altitude report. I measure more than 50 different calibrations, like how open your heart chakra is. Are you holding martyr energy or fear or anger? Or how many of these outside influences are there? Do you have spells and curses? So many things. If you have physical problems, we can also check various organs and body systems, but at any rate, this is the best place to discover what's going on with your energy field. And then it comes with a 30-minute conversation where if you're a healer, you can use your techniques, your tools, your whatever, to clear everything that's mentioned in the report. Because I not only tell you what may be off, but I tell you where the energy is that's creating this interference. So you can go and clear all these energies, and then on the 30-minute conversation, we can determine if you how successful you were in clearing these energies. What's left, if anything, many people have cleared everything in their report. So it's really a great place to start and to know. It's very validating, and sometimes it's really eye-opening and revealing. But at any rate, there's also suggestions on there if there's still things that need a lot of help and support on a next step. So I encourage you to do an altitude report if you haven't done one, or if it's been a while since you've done one, maybe you want to find out where you are now. So those are my suggestions for this week. So I hope you all enjoy your weekend and have fun creating your vision boards and stepping into this spring energy where we can start launching our rockets and everything that we're creating in this new season. All right, well, I appreciate all of you coming and sharing this, and we will all see you next week, same time, same place, to elevate our frequencies. Sending so much love. Namaste.